police just released more tear gas about 20 minutes ago. Go ahead and take a look at the crowd. The residents have started a makeshift memorial here at the Vallejo Police Department. You can see they've left flowers, lit candles. Last night, the city administrator's office gave these protesters a list of ground rules. The crime tape is still up. Investigators still out here. And those people are bundled up and are waiting outside the gates here. Protesters are not ready to give up yet, despite the fact that police just released more tear gas about 20 minutes ago. Go ahead and take a look at the crowd. There are still several protesters out here. Go ahead and take a look at this arrest video. OPD says so far there have been 102 arrests, 97 this morning and 5 this evening, but that number is expected to go up. There are 16 different law enforcement agencies out here helping OPD. Interim Police Chief Howard Jordan says they had to use tear gas in order to protect the police officers out here.
In a position.
He said there were also sexual assaults that authorities are investigating that happened inside the encampment, and authorities say they will be out here as long as these protesters refuse to give up. Live in Oakland, Reggie Kumar, KRON 4 News. These Occupy protesters have not only taken over the port, but they've also taken over these big rigs. But the truck drivers tell me they support the movement, even though this is costing them money.
People want to say whatever they want, but that's hard for us because that's our job.
The truck drivers tell me they will not be able to move their big rigs until the protesters clear out. In Oakland, Reggie Kumar, KRON 4 News.
In our top story at 11.
East Bay Park Ranger Dave Flores says he doesn't consider himself a hero. He tells me he was just doing his job. But if Flores never spotted this car along Grizzly Peak Boulevard in the Oakland Hills, the driver, James Wright, may have never been rescued. Ranger Flores explains how he made the life-saving discovery.
Driving back up after a regular park cleanup on Grizzly Peak, I was actually sitting in the passenger seat, so it gave me the time to look around as we drove up, and I saw the shimmering light from the sun off the roof of the car kind of gave it away. Had I been driving, I wouldn't have seen it. I scrambled down the steep ravine and saw there was someone in the car, and I went closer and opened the door. There was a guy in it who was conscious.
The accident happened right here. Wright's car plunged 150 feet down this embankment. Before emergency responders put Wright into the ambulance, you can see they took off his shoes and left him here alongside the road.
He seemed okay, no obvious injuries. I asked him if anything hurt anywhere. He said, no, I'm just really thirsty.
That's because Wright told Ranger Flores he didn't have any food or water for 3 days while he was stuck in the car. The El Cerrito man also told Ranger Flores he was in and out of consciousness after having a medical incident while driving. Wright was taken to Highland Hospital and is expected to survive. Ranger Flores says whenever they find cars that have driven off this dangerous 2-lane road, the outcome is usually much different.
When we find them, it usually happens at night. So the next morning when we see him, the person's already been rescued or has crawled. Often the person crawls up and gets help. I'm so happy that, you know, he's okay and he's gonna see his wife, or if he hasn't already. Happy ending.
Wright didn't have a cell phone on him at the time, but park officials say even if he did, cell phone reception isn't very good along this stretch of road. In the Oakland Hills, Reggie Kumar, KRON 4 News. You can spot them walking up and down Sonoma Boulevard in residential areas near Marin and Kentucky streets, even in downtown Vallejo. Prostitution has become a big problem here. In fact, it's so bad, residents are patrolling the streets themselves, trying to discourage these women from soliciting sex. The Vallejo Police Department hasn't been able to tackle the problem ever since its force was drastically cut when the city filed for bankruptcy 3 years ago. Leroy Ross has lived in Vallejo since 1975. He says the problem has only gotten worse over the years. Within the past few months, he found evidence that hookers were having sex in his boat.
I found a lot of used condoms in the back of my boat, and I finally pulled my boat cover off so that and turned my porch light on, so that kind of put an end to it.
Vallejo city officials are trying to combat the illegal sexual activity by putting together a prostitution task force being led by Councilwoman Stephanie Gomes. She says the city's bankruptcy did not cause the prostitution problem to escalate.
I think the media has portrayed it as being because of bankruptcy, but it's not the case. And I think it's been hyped to appear that way. But if you look at the other cities, they're struggling with the same things. In doing our research research in fighting prostitution, what's worked around the country is shaming. If they're brought to justice, then we could use their photographs and put them on a website where people can see who's been using prostitutes in the city.
The city also teamed up with Fighting Back Partnership, a local crime-fighting organization. It plans to install more cameras like this one, which is being used to stop illegal dumping. On Thursday, Fighting Back Partnership plans to teach 9 block captains in this building how to combat prostitution in their neighborhoods. In Vallejo, Reggie Kumar, KRON 4 News. Thousands of people swarmed American Medical Response, or AMR, headquarters in San Jose to raise money for paramedic Brian Stowe after he was almost beaten to death outside Dodgers Stadium in Los Angeles last week. More than $127,000 was raised at the barbecue, and it continues to grow. The amount collected also includes a $20,000 donation from Pizza My Heart restaurant. Friends, co-workers, and even those who don't know the 42-year-old father of 2 donated cash and Giants memorabilia for a silent auction. Barbecue chicken, burgers, hot dogs, and desserts were served to those who opened their wallets at Wednesday's fundraiser. Some of Stowe's AMR co-workers tell me the diehard Giants fan loved his job.
Probably a handful of times I worked with him, but like I said, he was very caring and very professional. I actually really enjoyed working with him.
He always was somebody who looked at the silver lining in every situation, and he could have done comedy because he was very funny. He was one of our Sharks medics. He worked on our San Jose Sharks medic team. He loved the Giants. He often traveled. He just got home from spring training. Stowe's co-workers, the men and women you see behind me, are holding another fundraiser Monday at AT&T Park during game time when the Giants take on the Dodgers. At the same time, LA-based AMR employees will be holding a fundraiser there at Dodgers Stadium. All of the money collected will go directly to Stowe's family. In San Jose, Reggie Kumar, KRON 4 News. Investigators spent most of Saturday using sonar technology to search the Delta-Mendota Canal for a 2003 silver Toyota Corolla. That's the car investigators believe Jose Rodriguez was driving when he reportedly abducted 4-year-old Giuliani Cardenas from his grandmother's home in Patterson on Tuesday. While searching the water, they discovered the stolen red Nissan truck and pulled it from the canal. Since Wednesday, investigators have recovered 5 stolen vehicles, and none of them matched the car the suspected kidnapper was driving. Sheriff Adam Christensen says they finally finished searching 3 large tunnels described as a self-cleaning siphon deep under the water.
We were able to get into all 3 of the blocks in the self-cleaning siphon, searching from north to south. So we were actually able to send the technology, the rover, for lack of a better term, through all 3 blocks here onto the south side, and they are clear. There are no vehicles in those blocks. Investigators say they still believe the farm worker's story about seeing a car matching the suspect's Toyota Corolla drive into the canal with an adult and child inside. This is our best credible lead. And we believe that the witness truly saw what he shared with us. There isn't any reason to disbelieve him. He appears very trustworthy. He's a humble man who obviously was frightened by what he saw. And investigators say Rodriguez hasn't used his cell phone or debit card since the abduction. He's not making purchases with a debit card that he was normally using pre-abduction. We hold out hope that we're going to find Giuliani alive. I mean, again, that has always been our goal. Investigators have wrapped up their search of the canal for now. They plan to get some much-needed rest and will resume searching south of the canal, which is this direction, in about 48 hours. In Patterson, Reggie Kumar, KRON 4 News. Sarah Shord, the woman held captive in an Iranian prison, is back in the U.S. tonight. This is her walking into a New York hotel with her mother. Shord told reporters today she's thankful to Iran's leaders for releasing her, but only feels 1/3 free because her fiancé Shane Bauer and friend Josh Vital are still jailed in Iran.
Shane and Josh.
After she spoke, Shord hugged her mother as well as Shane and Josh's moms. Both women were clutching their son's pictures. Iran has said it plans to put the 2 men on trial.